So I'm Alison Diamond. I'm the archivist for the Duke of Argyll's archive at Inverary Castle. And if I look at my notes, I need the glasses, and if I look at you, I need to not have them. So apologies in advance for a sort of on-off fiddle. What I'm talking about today is building the community for the archive. So I'm going to give you a really, really brief introduction to the archive. And those of you who've heard me talk about the archive before will know that I can go on about it for a long time. So you're getting the really brief version. And if you want more, catch me later in the day. So it is the family and estate archive of the Duke of Argyll. It dates back to the 13th century. We have about half a kilometre, a linear kilometre of records. And they include everything from charters, land holdings, through the ages. And from the 18th century, we have a really, really good record of the administration of the estates, which, as many of you know, included most of Argyll and quite a few of the islands. So the archive that we have has huge resonance to a lot of people. So there are three audiences or communities that we've sort of been aiming to reach. The first is the academic audience. They're really, in some ways, they're quite easy to reach because they know about archives and they know how to look for records to aid their research. And so they generally have managed to find the archive, and they managed to get into it even before it was open. Although there are many stories about how the 12th Duke used to hover outside the room because he didn't quite trust whoever was in there doing their research. And those of you who know Murdo MacDonald, Murdo was talking the other day about being effectively shut up in the vault with the records while he listed them. But people did manage, academic audiences have managed to find and access the archive. We also, as you can imagine, have broad support from the Clan Campbell Association and Clan Campbell worldwide. And we also have an audience of those who lived in Argyll but then left for whatever reason and have gone to live in other lands. Many of those are in North America, so we do have a big audience in North America as well. But our other audience, our other community, is our local community, because we're sitting on that archive of records that relate to the history of those communities. And that's really the community that I'm going to focus on. I'll cover the others briefly in this talk, but that's the one I'm going to focus on. And these are the communities that we've identified, and that's how we've been trying to build the profile of the Argyll papers. Okay, so the academic audience, as I said, they generally find their own way, and that's partly because of an amazing creation after the Second World War of the National Register of Archives for Scotland. Actually, it may have preceded the Second World War. George will know, he can let you know later. Just after, yeah. And one of the reasons for having that record was that these were people set up to visit landed estates, historic houses, and to try and make a note of papers that were in private possession so that they weren't lost for the benefit of people in the future. And they created catalogues, or surveys as they're called, and many of those are available online. And so the academic community has been able to access the content of records from those. My predecessor at Inverary, who many of you may have met and may remember, Ishbel, she set up a PhD opportunity with funding from the Scottish Graduate School for Arts and Humanities. And that was on a huge big question about improving the nation, investigating the principles of improvement in planned settlements in Scotland. And that had just started when I took up my post. So I had the pleasure of working with Mickey Gibbard, now Dr. Mickey Gibbard, as he both undertook his research and also, as part of that, spent 3 months working in the archive. And going forward, we're looking for further opportunities to develop those academic relationships with that audience. Clan Campbell and the diaspora. The Friends of the Argyll Papers is a charitable body set up to support the archive, and that's both financially and also through volunteering and research and general interest. And as you can see, we offer various things on that list, which you can see. And since 2020, one of the benefits of COVID, which I hadn't really cottoned onto before, is that we suddenly found that there was a way to develop our relationship with our international community through using online technology. And now looking back, it seems completely ludicrous that that had never crossed my mind before. But the reality that you can set up a seminar, that somebody can be talking from Scotland or America or Australia, and everyone in that community can join in that process, can ask questions, can meet each other virtually, but they're still meeting each other. They're still sharing, learning, and joining in that partnership. And we, well, as I say, I can't quite believe that I was so stupid as not to realize this was potential beforehand, but it was really the one thing I thank COVID for, is that we have moved into that. And because people are more involved, more people want to be more involved as well. So on the back of delivering these seminars, we now have a specifically North American group. So we have a subcommittee that is looking at ways to create a bigger community in North America, to raise the profile of the Argyll Papers further there, and to encourage more engagement. And that has resulted in the Adopt a Charter project and the Red Tape project, because people who have money and facility, so whether they're giving their knowledge or whether they're giving financial support, that's all coming to our benefit, and that's part of our wider community. But to come back to Argyll and the local community, local in Argyll is quite a strange concept. I came across Edinburgh, where local was, the school was in Edinburgh, and I came to Argyll, and local means everything from, your nearest village to Tyree to the tip of Kintyre. It's local has a new meaning here, as does getting anywhere, which takes forever. But apart from that, so one of the things I came to Argyll to deliver was a 3-year project called Written in the Landscape. So I was employed to manage the archive, but also to deliver this project. Now, this was a partnership project with Argyll and Bute Council, which then became Live Argyll just before the project started. And Pat here in the audience was part of setting that project up and delivering it. As you can see, there was quite a lot of outcomes that we were heading to do. And one of the big ones there from the local community point of view was this aim to deliver training and mentoring that went into the original project application. Ishbel submitted the application. Jackie, who's the Live Argyll archivist, and I had to then interpret that to what we thought it meant when we came to delivering the project. Delivering training and mentoring sounds like something that you do to other people, and that wasn't really what we felt was what the priority. We felt that we work in an area where everyone is a community, where everyone is a potential partner. So we delivered information about our holdings, and in return, people gave us information about what they had and what they were doing. We asked people what sort of training they needed or they would benefit from, and then we delivered that training. So some of that was about professional archival skills. Some of it was about paleography. Some of it was about the excitements of copyright and intellectual property. So all of these things, but we worked with that group of people, and I think that is the essential. I joined Argyll and Bute Museums and Heritage Forum quite soon after I arrived, and I've had a huge amount of benefit from that, knowing people, seeing where people are, knowing what they're doing, knowing who to contact and who to ask if you want something to happen. So I've just talked through my next slide, so I'm going to show it to you anyway. This is just 3 tiny photos of some of the community meetings that we had. So you've got the training session in Oban. I think that was on archival skills and practice. One of our many visits to other communities, which was to the Ross of Mull History Centre at Benesson, and also a visit to Tobermory, where we went to the Mull Museum archives. And as I said, these were mutual learning sessions. This wasn't about us turning up and telling people. This was a conversation that we had. Tiree being a bit further away from the mainland, we actually went for a little bit longer. We went to Mull for 3 days. I think we went to Tiree for a week. You know, by the time you sat on that boat for 4.5 hours, you actually need to spend a week there before you come back. So the Tiree, we I suppose, put a bit more into the Tiree Roadshow because we were there for longer. So we delivered more whilst we were there. The work with the children was actually a really last-minute add-on. A friend of mine who does education and archives had just come back from New Zealand, and I was sort of like, "Are you doing anything next week? Would you like to come to Tiree?" And he came. So we went into the primary school. We delivered drama workshops. The kids were really, really enthusiastic. So we actually then took a group of them and delivered a performance that they created, rehearsed, and delivered within about 24 hours, which was quite amazing. One of the particular benefits from that was that on our last evening in Tiree, which was, you know, we had lots of documents out for people to look at. We had people talking about the benefits of being able to access archives. And then we had the kids doing their performance. And so all the parents came. People who actually potentially, if you just said you want to come to an evening about archives and history, would probably have gone, no. But they came to watch their children. And that photo there that Jack Lockhart took, the one on the right, these are just parents. And they were just absolutely blown away by this map by James Turnbull of Tiree. I mean, everyone should be blown away by that map because it is physically a thing of beauty, as well as being a really interesting historical document. So, you know, definitely worth seeing. And on the back of that visit, we collected quite a lot of evaluation, as you do, to keep your funders happy. And one of the quotes from that was, "You have proved me wrong. It's not that islanders have no passion for their history, but they've had no access to their history. Your outreach has filled this hole. Thank you for coming. Thank you for putting so much care into your choice of documents. Thank you for allowing us to feel and touch them. And thank you for bringing our children into the heart of the project." And I think that was actually one of the best bits of feedback that we got from that Written in the Landscape project. And it really underpinned the value of what we were doing and the value of building a community and networking with the people out there. And following that on, they were really keen for us to go back. So in 2019, which we were there for the roadshow in May, we went back for a week in the autumn to talk to people about what we could do next. And Chirishan and Oran, which means Tiree Lowland of Song, was the project that resulted from those conversations. So we wanted to go back, but we wanted to do something different. We wanted to reach a slightly different audience and to do it in a different way. We still wanted the records to be at the heart of what we did, and we wanted to work with the young people specifically. As you can see, we came up with quite a number of outcomes that were delivered. Retrospectively, I would say we probably came back with too many outcomes, but you know, that's what projects are like. You work it out as you go. So we used records from the archive, including James Turnbull's amazing plan of the island, which was at the heart of everything we did. We brought in young people, the community. We asked local musicians and a filmmaker to respond to stories that they were Tyree stories, but they were supported by archival documents, and they were actually connected intimately with the landscape. And so all of those things came together and, in fact, affected people's responses. They were inspired. The heart of the project was a multimedia performance that we delivered back in June last year. We went out to the island in March, delivered initial workshops, worked with the young people. We wanted to, particularly on the back of COVID, when nobody had been anywhere for months, I think we were the first outsiders into the school. The school had only joined its high and primary schools together about a week before we actually arrived. So the first week was a little bit of a sort of, oh, there's people there who they didn't recognize. So that was all quite interesting. So thank goodness we had that 2-week period. And then we went back in June to deliver 3 weeks of truly intensive rehearsals with the young people. They rehearsed drama. Some of them learnt music and performed with the composers who'd been involved in the project. And we did filmmaking. And we also got the young people to, they were doing all the backstage behind this performance as well. So that photo on the right, that shows a young lad who was out hopping like a goat, where we were holding on tight to the rocks, with a microphone on the end of a stick, because we wanted the ambient sounds of water and birdsong and the wind and all those island sounds that we wanted to inform the soundscape for the production. And, having collected the sounds, the young people edited the sounds. The young people learned how to use the lighting desk. They learned how to use the audio equipment and to feed it in. The young people sorted out the costumes. They created seaweed out of Oxfam rejects. It was amazing. And then the young people took charge of backstage. They did costume, they did props, they did the lighting, they did the technical stuff. They performed on the stage, and we tried to keep a handle on everything that was going on. It went really well. Actually, we got really good feedback. So, as our community extends a little bit further, and the Tyree community in particular extends far further than the island itself, we wanted to involve that specific Tyree diaspora. And so we asked them to create textile squares. Now, originally, we suggested that they created a textile square that responded to the stories that we had picked for the project. As always, people take their own initiative, and they were inspired in many different ways, one of which was to create squares about their own family history. But we ended up with this amazing fabric hanging, which is currently in the departure lounge at Tyree Airport. I don't know where it's going to go next. I haven't worked that out yet, but it will continue touring for a while. And eventually, hopefully, it will find a place of rest in Anelan, which is the historical heritage centre on Tyree. So it was really nice to bring that diaspora community on board as well. If you want to see, we filmed the multimedia performance. It's available online in 2 halves, so you don't have to watch for, I think the whole thing's about 2 hours, so you don't have to watch the whole thing at once. You can watch it in 2 parts. You can listen to the new music that was recorded. So the new music was written by Jamie and Shoni McIntyre from Trail West and Angus MacPhail from Skippenish. Skippenish are going to be recording the song that Angus wrote for us. So I'm looking forward to receiving that really good recording. At the moment, there is a recording of Angus singing along to his box, but I look forward to the new one. That's on the booklet about the tapestry, and pictures of it are on the website. And there's also lots of bits of film. One piece I would have loved to have played for you just now, but I can't because it's a bit too long, is an animation that Jack Lockhart created about villages that were lost by sand blow at the end of the 18th century. So these communities just eventually got so covered in sand that everybody had to move out and leave. And he's created this amazing animation using a sandbox and imagery from Tyree alongside a tune that Jamie wrote. And it's really lovely. It's so I just recommend it if you want to go and have a listen. It's rather lovely. And there's also young people's writing. There's a box upstairs by the Argyll Papers banner. If you would like a copy, please take a copy. The writing was an interesting experience because what we were told by the teachers is that the young people don't like writing. I think there's a difference between writing in the classroom and writing in a group that's set up separately. But we found that they were very creative and very interested. So we did have lots of writing, and we've put that into a wee book that you can take away. Is there anything else I need to tell you about that? Not really. I think I'm sort of retrenching at the moment. Last year was horrendously busy, what with Tyree and everything else going on back in Inverary as well. So at the moment, we've got a project running in Tyree, which is mental health and wellbeing funded. And until that comes to an end in March, I'm not venturing on any other sort of projects. But I have all these records. I want those records to be used. I want them to be available to everybody else who wants to use them. So the Oban Heritage Hunters have been in touch. They've got copies of Oban records, and anyone else, we can come and do a new project. We can develop a new relationship. We can deliver something new. Tyree got in there because they were really enthusiastic and they said, yes, 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 yes. There is space for other people to get involved too. So if you want to do something with the archive, get in touch and we can talk about it. I'm quite good at getting funding. So if we do find something that we want to do, then we should be able to finance it as well. And I can bring all my learning from the last project so that we don't make the same mistakes next time, but hopefully we get as good end results as we have now. So I've got a little clip. One of the things the children did was they did filmmaking workshops. So they animated characters with plasticine, and then they used a particular software package to put voices onto those characters. And we've got a little clip of that. Can I start that from here, Rich, or do you start that? I can start it, can I? Right, okay.
Well, it's a play to do with Tyree and old stories. Well, there's a story about a mermaid, a story about a guy's head who got cut off. It's this guy called 3Argyll, or his story, which is he cut someone's head off. Well, I'm doing backstage and lighting. That's just setting all the lights up and moving them around and whatnot. Yeah, it's fun. I like it. Yeah, I think it will look good.
Hi, my name's Derek. I used to be friends with Aquaman and live in Atlantis. But now, as you can see, I had a tragic accident and now I'm dead. Just waiting for some two little girls to find me. Bye for now, Brubski. Well, we're doing a performance about all the old stories of Tyree, and I'm in one of them, obviously I'm the mermaid, and that's really cool. And yeah, big performance. The other stories, there's picture of John. Yeah, it looks quite scary. There's me, kind of the main part. Yay. On a Greeno Beach. Totally check that out. I think there's a few other ones that you should definitely check out as well.
I am the leader of the Vikings, and you will die today, for I am the mightiest man on earth. Attack! Hamisha and Viking fair share, ants and turtle. Doll Anish. Yeah, it's been really fun getting to act with everyone and being on stage and with all the costumes and everything. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the show.
I'm the mermaid. Well, I got washed up on the beach and I'm dead. And there's Big Dear John, there's the mermaid story, that's me. And there's the gloomy forest. Yeah, I hope you really enjoy the show, but don't judge me. This is my first time.
I am a fairy. I live in a cave in Canavara. I am in the Piper of Canavara. I make a dog hairless. Beware. Watch out for fairies on your way home tonight. I might trick you and take you into a cave.
My owner, she's gone. Nobody helped her, and now she's gone. Now it's too late, she's gone. Mo dunya, hea falov, had a hutchich dunya sambi hea falov, ha raw anima, hea falov. Well, I'm the dog in the Piper of Kenavara. I go down in the cave with my owner. I come out at the end without my hair.
Bami jedig cheating shot is on granny. The hoping va ton over so more and I guess Vami in Ganya. I only came here for Granny, but the waves were so big and now I'm on the sand. And my cousin fell on the sand like I did. And then some people found him and then they buried him, which wouldn't be the way to go for a normal mermaid. I hope you enjoyed the show and just remember I am not the mermaid, I am his cousin.
Thank you very much.